What do you picture when you hear the word mysterious? Something frightening and terribly interesting, right? Like stories about ghosts, vampires, and other villains. At least once you must have heard a horror story that gave you goosebumps. We have some frightening stories today, which you can use to scare your friends at night. The first story is about Kate, a girl who came home late at night after working all day. It was a hard shift, and she was incredibly tired. Without turning on the lights in the apartment, Kate went to bed and was about to fall asleep. Suddenly, she felt that someone had crawled under her blanket. It was her little son, who liked to enter the room at night and sleep next to her. He was acting weird, twitching all the time, and was hotter than usual. Probably a cold, Kate thought, and hugged him. At that moment, she felt very tired and fell asleep quickly. In the morning, Kate woke up with a headache, shaking from the cold. She wasn't feeling good. She decided to call an ambulance, but her phone was still in her purse. She was feeling dizzy. Kate got to the hallway somehow, but her phone was dead. When she plugged it in, she saw her husband texting her. "I took the children to our summer house. We'll be back tomorrow." "Anybody home?" she asked, but no one answered. Kate looked around. Her husband's and kids' jackets were gone. She couldn't make sense of anything. Maybe it was all a dream. But her sixth sense told her that there was someone in the bedroom. She panicked, grabbed her jacket, and ran out into the street. The further from the apartment, the better she got. A couple of minutes later, she felt better and finally called her husband, who was really at their summer house with the children. An hour later, the police arrived. No one was found in the apartment. Everything was fine, except for one creepy detail: a dark stain on the bed. A stain in the shape of a little boy. So, do you feel like someone is watching you? Don't turn around, because we haven't finished. Once upon a time, a girl named Mary was staying with her aunt. Her uncle was a great photographer and always had a camera with him. The couple had many different and interesting albums. Her uncle died a few years ago, but his memory always lived in his works. It so happened that Mary found an album in the closet, one that she had never seen before. Her aunt was also surprised to see it. In the first photos of the album, her aunt was alone at the dinner table. Nothing out of the ordinary, but with every picture they saw, they understood something wasn't right. The photos depicted the renewed kitchen, meaning that they were taken recently. Then Mary turned the last page and couldn't believe her eyes. In the last photo, there was a picture of her and her aunt flipping through a photo album. Scared? No? Well, here's another story for you then. Once upon a time, a guy named Max went out to the balcony to breathe some fresh air and heard some noises on the street. There was a strange guy walking around the parking lot. He moved almost silently. Sometimes he froze and stood for a couple of minutes and then abruptly ran away. The stranger was looking for someone. There was no one on the street. At some point, the stranger ran off and hit his head against the door of a parked car. Max decided to film the weirdo. He took out his phone and shouted, "Hey man, are you okay or what?" The stranger turned his head towards him, and Max was horrified. He saw the creature under the light of a street lamp. It didn't have a nose nor eyes, and it had a huge mouth, and it was clearly unfriendly. Quickly rose to its feet and jumped towards the house. For a few seconds, Max didn't know what to do. Meanwhile, the creature easily overcame the second floor and continued to climb upwards. Horrified, Max rushed into the room, but after a couple of seconds, he heard some noise coming from the balcony. The guy jumped out of the apartment and into the hallway without thinking. He ran down like a puma without almost touching the stairs, and on the first floor, he stopped and stayed quiet. The door to the street was slightly opened. Max looked out into the street carefully. Silence. He slowly started coming out, but after a moment, something grabbed him and dragged him back into the hallway. Next morning, the police found Max in his apartment, headless. A little bit creepy, right? But don't worry, just keep your fingers crossed and knock on wood and you'll be golden. If you want to hear more incredible stories, then subscribe to our channel. Good luck and good energy to you all. And don't forget to give us a like so that the boogeyman doesn't get you.